medication is easy with City Drugstore's curbside pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drugstore's curbside pickup service.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Good morning, it's Sandy Nevis, and welcome to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. It is a beautiful Saturday. It's Saturday, July 9, 2022, and it is about 4 minutes past the hour of 11. A beautiful Saturday right here in Sugar City, St. Kitts. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on Inside the News today. Those of you who have joined us on our social media platforms, on Facebook, as well as on YouTube at WINN Media SKN. Thank you so much for logging in. Of course, numbers to call to participate in the program today are 466-0989, 762-0989, or 662-0989. This is Inside the News, and I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. So on the program today, we will be looking at a number of issues that came about in the week, some from late last week, but more so this week. 3 major issues that are related. So it promises to be a very good conversation. And of course, I will be depending on you with your calls, your questions, your comments via the social media live streams, and of course, WhatsApp number at 662-2204. All right, good morning again, Sinkis and Nevis, and thank you so much for joining me on Inside the News today. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining us. It's about 7 minutes past the hour, and so we are going to get this program started. And as I said earlier, I will be depending on you. Let us have a good conversation for the remainder of this program. The numbers are 466-0989, 762-0989, or 662-0989. And of course, our WhatsApp number, which is 662-2204. And of course, feel free to share your comments on the live stream, whether that be on Facebook or YouTube. So as I said earlier, there are a number of issues, or let me say a few issues that were very, relevant throughout the week, much talked about on the minds of many people. And people have been voicing their concerns, giving their views on these issues. Of course, these relate to the upcoming elections in the country. We are still waiting for the election date, but these relate to our elections. The tension in the country is really high, and I think for the most part, people they just want to know, when are we going to the polls? When are we going to the polls? And before we go to the polls, I think many of you have asked the question, how did we get here? Or why are we here today? How did we get here? And why are we here today? Most of you are aware that in the earlier parts of the year, around March, late February, but more so March, as I think March was a very interesting month in terms of the St. Kitts Nevis politics. Early March, that is, was a very, very interesting time. There were some conventions by the partners in the team unity, and a number of things were said, a number of things happened. For some, they were like, boy, yeah, we saw these things coming long time. And for others, today, it is still a great shock. A lot of people are still like, wow, this thing really happened. So for the month of March, it was really busy in the politics, and people were, they simply could not believe that all of these things, were happening. And of course, throughout the 7-year lifespan, or the 7-year period of Team Unity, rumors were going around that things were not well. The partners in Team Unity, they were not seeing eye to eye. So people had some speculation that there was some turbulence going on in the administration. Of course, these rumors were not confirmed. Some people, we just did not know. We just did not know. However, when we got to March of this year, the events that took place in March confirmed all of the speculations, all of the rumors that we had, answered all of the questions that the people had in terms of what was going on in that coalition. We know in any coalition, to be fair, there will always be differences, and the partners in that coalition may not be able to see eye to eye on every issue. Those things happen. Apart from coalitions, those things happen in anywhere you go. So that is not necessarily like a wow. But as I said earlier, throughout the 7-year life of Team Unity, we were hearing that things were not well, but we could not get concrete confirmation that that was so. Now, recently, the Prime Minister, it was at a political rally in early June. I think it was the second week of June 14th to be exact, where the Prime Minister alleged that the back and forth, or let me say, as we would say, the confusion in the administration began as early as 2015. So right when they got into office is when they started to have some challenges where they were unable to see eye to eye, and things were not going as they should, or as they would like it to, or as the people would like it to. And so the Prime Minister said they experienced some challenges. Of course, efforts were made to try to fix these issues, but we are here today, 2 years after the 2020 election, to have another one. Now, former Team Unity partner Mark Brantley dismissed the claim by the Prime Minister that he basically sought to support another member for the position of Prime Minister. The Prime Minister said within 24 hours of the elections of 2015, Mark Brantley tried a palace coup to depose him as the Prime Minister of the country. He said, "You think it's just happening?" And the Prime Minister said, "I stood up to them. I who just got them elected must come to a meeting. They want to have discussions over the prime ministership. I sent back the message to them that I will be sworn in as the Prime Minister of this country, because that is what you said to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis." Now, when we attended the Premier's press conference, I think it was sometime last week, when the Premier held his monthly press conference in Nevis, we posed the question to the Premier on that allegation, trying to, really understand what was going on. Mr. Brantley said that he is not aware of that, and he has no idea, no clue whatsoever of what the Prime Minister is talking about. Mr. Brantley said, "I had no such indications in 2015. If you realized, I was one of the chief proponents of Team Unity. I campaigned in St. Kitts, I campaigned in Nevis, and he was the person chosen to lead Team Unity." The Premier continued, "CCM was led at the time by the Honorable Van Semery, not by me. So I don't know what he's talking about in relation to that." However, Brantley went on to confirm that in 2020, he did not support Dr. Harris for the position of Prime Minister. So with regards to 2015, Brantley dismissed that claim, that allegation, but in 2020, he said, yes, I did not support him, the CCM did not support him, and they wanted to go a different route in terms of prime ministership, and that is to support Sean Richard or someone else for the position of prime ministership. However, that did not take place. Mr. Brantley said, if he were to say 2020, I would say he is right, because I said to the team in 2020, let us change directions, and I'm not going to resign from that. I do not stand at this podium to mislead anybody. I said let us change gears because I had already seen all the signs exhibited by Timothy Harris. That position did not find favor, and we proceeded to have him again as Prime Minister. He said it will be for history to judge whether or not I was right, because 2 years later we see what has happened. Now, only after 7 years of taking office, Team Unity is no more. Team Unity has fallen. And as I said earlier, in the early parts of this year, in March, there were the conventions for the People's Action Movement and the People's Labour Party. And from those conventions, we realized that all was not well. And so that basically answers the question why we are here to have elections again, to elect a new government, and to usher in new members for our country's parliament. That is why we are here. That is why we are having an election. But the other question must be asked, and I think this has been asked before. Are the people ready to have another election? Well, based on what I've seen, looking at the different political meetings and rallies and events, people are basically revved up and are ready to head to the polls to throw their support behind whichever party they want to support. But it's only left to be seen And of course, we're going to have to compare the voter turnout in the upcoming elections after that information is collected versus that of 2020. And we're going to see if people really wanted to participate in the election and if they had preferred to, sit this one out. But that is why we're here today. And so the question now is, do the people want to have the election? The thing is, we have to have it. The parliament has been dissolved, and so it is only a matter of time before the Prime Minister announces the election date. Today is the 9th day of July, so about a month away from the constitutional deadline. As I said on a program during the week, there is a 90-day window in which the Prime Minister has to call the election from the dissolution of Parliament. So Parliament dissolves today. He has 90 days, a 90-day window to call the election. Today is the 9th of July, and I think the deadline is somewhere around the 8th or the 9th of August. So about a month's time before the constitutional deadline of having the election. It is 18 minutes past the hour of 11 in the studios of WINN FM 98.9. We'll take a short break to give a shout out to the sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue inside the news right here on WINN FM 98.9. Of course, we will be taking your calls at 466-0989 or 762-0989 and 662-0989. Call us and be a part of the conversation today. Of course, we are live on Facebook and YouTube at WINN Media SKN, and you can leave your comments, your suggestions, whatever that may be, on the live stream. Let's take this break, and we will be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
People make the world go.
TDC Financial Services. We're here for you to help you make your dreams come true. Whether your needs are big or small, we'll support you with them all. TDC Financial Services. We are strong. TDC Financial Services. This is where you belong.
TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. For those of you who are just tuning in, I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining the program. Those of you on the Facebook and YouTube live streams, thank you so much for tuning in. It's 21 minutes past the hour of 11 here in our studios, and we are continuing this program for today. For those of you who are late, we are discussing some of the issues that we spoke about in our news for this week. One being the Prime Minister alleging that Team Unity, or saying that Team Unity faced challenges since 2015. We have our first caller, so let's head to the phone lines. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Cornelius, man. I'm listening to you there, and I'm here thinking how we get there and why we get there.
Talk
That's
to
a
me.
good question, and check this out. My scenario about that is that these guys, for some reason, like you said, the differences and the hard times, and they couldn't see eye to eye and wanted to remove the Prime Minister. But how I see that they failed, they should have gone back to the people which would have been in the House of Parliament. Because there they left the governor. It's there the banding was when they swaying. In Parliament, when they finished, Parliament banned that. So now in Parliament, now, they just had to go back to call a meeting. For instance, they could have called a meeting and say, well, okay, an urgent meeting, the restrictions they got on the folks, nationals can't come home or to apply for this or whatsoever. Have a house meeting in there. And when they get in there, it's in there now they had to discuss to the people, because the people listening in the Parliament, House of Parliament, tell them why the Prime Minister and what's not and what's not and what's not. And in the end, we remove him, we support from the Prime Minister. He does not have the majority of Parliament, not cabinet, Parliament, where the people voice are. And so they just had to pull that support. And the Prime Minister take it now to the governor. From Parliament to the governor. The governor would have to heed to the law. We have a new candidate. We have a new elected, yes, Mr. Sean Richards, bam, 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 support there, bam. Mr. Prime Minister, you have to resign in 3 days' time because of answer. And if they don't have, like for instance, this is a car shred or whatever, they could now, the Prime Minister now, because they doesn't have the support in there and it's not a majority, then the Prime Minister have the position to dissolve Parliament and go back to the people. No, they went to the governor in his house, which they were wrong. So there's where, to me, they stumble and they fall. And so the Prime Minister now get the opportunity to know, well, but my cabinet doesn't support me. I must dissolve the House. He have that right in cabinet. And just how it is. So the 6, what didn't fire the 1, and the 1 could fire the 6, is because the Constitution laws is at work, and the spirit of the law is at work. But some people with the narrative of politics, I think we get our politics in sync is now too narrative. Because politics wasn't so much about party politics, you know. Politics was about representing the people looking forward to politics, that when the time comes, we're looking for somebody who can go in there and try to make our lives, our country better. This is how I know politics. Not is Labour Party, Indian PAM Party. So happening was just those two. But I never look at Labour PAM because on the Simmons did great. And the Bracha did the part, and when Limo took over, he did the part, right up until Douglas did the part. And so now, Dr. Harris now come, he doing the part, and he doing it great. So I will want to say, everything running well, and I will like the people and encourage them to vote Harris again, because right now we need a strong leader, and I used to know about strong leader.
But let me ask you
need
this.
a strong, who want to be a leader, you know. We need a strong leader.
Let me ask you this, caller, quickly before you go. Let me ask you this before you go. So let me ask you this before you go. Now, with regards to there was a motion of no confidence. Do you think that the motion of no confidence should have been the first attempt, or in other words, should they have filed the motion of no confidence first instead of going to the Governor General to say they don't support Dr. Harris as Prime Minister?
No, they shouldn't have. There was no need to even have a vote of no confidence, Mr. Cornelius. They would not need that. They just needed to call, because they had the majority, to call a quorum for Parliament. So they could, whether the Prime Minister wanted it or not, they could have called an urgent meeting in Parliament. This, like I said again, it could have been just because they wouldn't have let him know that they have this plan. Because it's politics here now. So we ain't going to let him know we had a plan. You call a meeting saying, okay, the people is agonizing with the laws, that the constriction of the COVID laws, and we can't move about, people can't come home. Let's go in Parliament and discuss it, see how they put support me. Take it to the people so we could let the people in here. And then, whatever they want to do, they do it in the House. That's what they had to do.
All right.
And they are parliamentarians, and they should have known that. So no, you can't blame the governor that the governor do something wrong and this. Because the speaker, hear what it is. Here the people was asking, How can you have a vote of no confidence against yourself? No, that can be, yes, but really, if you really listen to it, it sounds funny. Wait, because they did it wrong. How you couldn't have a vote of no confidence against yourself? I mean, when you vote no confidence in the House of Parliament against yourself, that means you give the opposition a minority government. The opposition could move to the government and tell him, well, we have no support. No, there's no support of majority in Parliament here. And I have my 2 here, my 3 support, and we are the majority in the minority. And I ask the governor to grab and put things in place. You check that out?
Yeah, follow you.
That's how I watch in the law, because you got to go down the middle. You got to give down the middle. Now, here is another thing. Politics. This thing about bribe. This ain't no bribe, you know. The word bribe come from foreign nations, those who say they lead the world and we follow in the world. Yeah. No, we are jubilant people. We never been bribed. You can't buy my vote, Mr. Cornelius. You can't buy my vote here. But I can sell my vote. But I have my rights. Suppose my wish to sell my vote. Like, for instance, the Collins sell. I have, but you can't buy it. So we need to understand politics. Because what is politics? There's no politician without politics. Because the politician come from politics. Politics is the same thing. We're jubilant people. We have, you know, you go down the road, you meet a friend, buy a guy in a rough time, you know, buy a lunch from, you know. You buy a lunch from him, you say, that's a bribe for your vote? For a lunch?
All right. Well, we want to take some more calls, all right, caller?
Okay, man. Thank you for listening, man. I know I had enough. Thank you very much, man.
Yeah.
Have a great day, Mr. Cornelius. Keep up the vibes. You're nice.
You too. You take care. And thank you so much for your contribution to the program. It is 11:28, and you are tuning in. You are listening to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. This is Inside the News, and we are still taking your calls at 466-0989 or 762-0989. Let's head back to the phone lines. We have some more calls. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, Devon. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm good, thanks. What about you?
Man, I'm here giving God thanks.
Awesome.
You know, I feel much better. Somebody gave me the flu.
Ah.
But by the grace of God, I got over it.
That's good to hear.
All those who are wondering if I pass away, still here, boy. Ain't going nowhere. I want to start by sending birthday greetings first to a blind lady down in the Bay. Her name is Mrs. Francine Matthew Mulwain. Her birthday will be tomorrow, so happy birthday. Here tomorrow is Marcella's birthday too, so happy birthday, Marcella. Now, I just listened to some logic a while ago from the first caller. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I often wonder if people would have preferred for us to have a facade for the next 3 years. Would you have preferred that?
No.
You?
No.
Huh? No. Because a lot of people suggesting, well, they could have waited until. Churches are split, you know. Churches split, families split. If you have serious disagreement, it is better for you to go your separate ways than to put on a show. The show was on long enough. I am not here to judge who was right or who was wrong. But to me, it makes sense. If it reached to such an extent, let the people decide. And this thing about we had the party politics, that's what I think is in the state it is in. Palm and labor war. Now, a question came to my mind. Does the electoral laws consider the problem of having a runoff? You know, splitting the votes in 3, eh? What happens if 2 candidates get the same amount of votes? These become more possibility in with 3 person running. You aware of it?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, in every constituency here in St. Kitts, you're going to have about 3, maybe 4 if you have independent candidates.
Yeah. So when you go divide the votes, you could have 2 candidates getting the same amount.
But it's interesting that you say that, because it was only this morning I had the same thought. You have 3 candidates in the constituency. What happens if 2 of them get the same amount?
Boy, you say great mind think alike. Just a fool seldom differ, right? But I chose the great mind part. Because I've been thinking about it, all the noise and the excitement we get in. Two parties can have candidates with the same amount. And then I heard Dr. Drew saying he does not want to go into any coalition. Well, he better start thinking again. He said, Labour does not want it. Well, for him to get in a situation where they don't want it, they'll have to get at least 6 seats. Isn't that so?
Yes.
It becomes more difficult with 3 parties. It becomes more difficult because, as somebody said, you have the two traditional parties and then a new one who obviously has to get members from both sides. What happens if they get 4 seats?
Well, based on what we've seen and we've been hearing, it is safe to say that it would be difficult for any of the parties to get 6 seats.
So I think, you see, when these possibilities exist, it's better for you to explore it now with the people. Because if you're going to say, well, we don't want none, we just want to get the 8 or get the 6, then the obvious happen. Then some people who are so loyal to the party, they will become the problem and make it difficult for the parties. You see what I mean? Because you can say, well, I didn't want you to join with me, I didn't want you to join with Jane. But if you are serious about your party getting into government, you have got to look at the likely combination.
Right. But look at this. No, it may come from. Let me change that. So, we had a coalition for 7 years that did not last. Within that 7 years, the turbulence was really bad. They had a lot of back and forth, a lot of confusion, accusing each other of a number of things. Let me just say a number of things. Now, could it be that, well, we understand that it would be difficult for any one party in St. Kitts to get 6 seats? Could it be that the parties are running away from another coalition because of what happened in this last coalition? What are your thoughts on that?
I can tell you, that does not make sense.
Tell me.
Even before independence, we have had coalition. NRP and PAM didn't always work well, you know. Labour and NRP did not work well all the time either. So some people act like it's the first time. Maybe within the case of NRP in the first one, or my man said, well, I will concentrate over here, and you concentrate over there. So there was a mutual. And what Nevis want, Nevis will get, and I will run Nevis without interference from St. Kitts. Because that's what it was, eh? Sim Daniel ran Nevis the way he wanted to. He didn't have to consider the interruption or the imposition of any power from St. Kitts. In the case with the Labour and the NRP, NRP became a subsidiary, not a real partner, but at least they were there. Now this one, you have a new party coming, an offshoot from Labour, people, PLP, and that's what it is. People can't say for the 7 years it didn't work, because that don't make no sense. In any coalition you will have, as you said, disagreements. Because different party people expect different things from their party. Isn't that so?
Right.
Yeah. Because I was hearing people saying, oh, they're gone in and Labour people are getting more than, and all on the radio, you know. Even when they're fixing roof, PAM people can't get the roof fixed. So you have the different people in their parties making demands on their party that would have been not really helpful in a coalition. Because if you're demanding that your party must get all the benefits of first preference, then you are actually sidelining. And that, to me, is what caused a lot of the problem. Because each party now has to try and meet the demands of their members, because they have to go to for the vote. Eh? And if you notice, well, number 7 getting the most of this and the most of that, it would intensify the disgruntlement in the other camps. And in relation to the citizenship by investment, the comments that are being made that saying it's money, the concept that the CBI is saying it's money, is grievous to any division, because that was the same statement made by the Labour Party. Dr. Douglas said, how we could give Davis saying it's money. Dr. Harris is now saying the same thing, saying it's money. Any self-respecting division will feel slighted. That again would put pressure on the CCM and the NRP to stand up for their rights, so no matter how you cut it. It was a good coalition, only that people were not able, mature enough, to reconcile the differences.
All right.
Make compromises, you don't think so? But to say that it was turbulent in after the revelation came out, because you looking in from the outside, you could see that. Did you? No. All right then.
All right. Thank you, caller, so much for your contribution to this program. It's 11:38, and you are tuned into WINN FM 98.9. This is Inside the News. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining. Those of you on the live stream, Facebook and YouTube, thank you so much for joining the program today. The phone lines are still open, and we are taking your calls at 466-0989, 762-0989, or 662-0989. Let's head back to the phone lines. We have some more calls. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. What about you?
Yes, I'm okay. I'm calling in response to the caller before the last caller, before Sylvie.
Mm-hmm.
I heard him was saying certain things about Parliament and calling, keep it a secret. The way the system is designed, right? You can't keep certain things a secret. And you cannot introduce something that is not new, that is not under other paper. It's like the courthouse. During a case, you can't just introduce new evidence without it's approved by the judge. Same thing with the Parliament. You just can't say, okay, we want to have a vote of no confidence today in Parliament. It doesn't work like that. Are you following me?
Yes, I am.
And on the other hand, he's saying that, they created a minority government and the opposition could have gone to the governor and said they got the majority. But how they could go to the governor? How he could want to say that? And the 6 went to the governor with the majority, and the governor said no. But on the other hand, he said the opposition could have gone to the governor. It doesn't work like that. And having this knowledge as a guest, you should be able to correct that person. Because there's people listening, like he says something with a lot of sense in it. Right, he's far right. It doesn't work like that. That is my contribution.
And thank you so much for your contribution to this program, caller. It's 11:40, and we are still taking your calls here, right here on WINN FM 98.9. This is Inside the News. For those of you who are just joining, let me hold that thought. I'll take this last call, then I'll give my contribution. Let's take this call. The caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Greetings, my brethren. This is Asai.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to clear the air concerning a statement I heard someone made recently about Rastafari going into Parliament. Now, they were saying that Rasta going into Parliament, the Federation is not ready for that. But I would correct that person because right now, more than ever, people is looking up to Rasta for a lot of answers because we are dealing with the logistics and we are dealing with reality. So you realize people with locks on their head, all men have the same concept as Rasta, but they have some kind of concept of blackness. And that is where we have to make it start. No, we wasn't trained in the way of Jamaica as Jamaica being trained in Rastafari. Because a lot of the elders who was trying to portray and live Rastafari life during the 70s, they here used to get cut off and they used to land them in jail just not to come here. So the stigma was very intense. Just like when it started out in the 50s in Jamaica with men like Leonard Howell, who was captured and put in jail, and his wife and other people, wife got raped and all kind of things when these brothers was put in jail. So it was very, very tragic for the first stages of Rastafari. Even coming out in public in red, gold, and green, they was arrested. Imagine that. We have come a long way. But we here, we cannot wait for elders to tell us what to do. Because we have to be stronger than even the ancestors who faced genocide. We as a people realize that we've been pushed around, brutalized, and dominated by a lot of politicians over the years and decades. And we're making the same cry every 5 years. We want to change, we want to change. Look at this, so much people have lost their job because of not taking the vaccine. And recently, being ruled out in Antigua, a news report came out saying that hospital has refused 3 people who was in line to give blood, and they was refused because they took the vaccine. So what is different between the vaccine in Antigua and St. Kitts? So if they refuse to give blood because they took the vaccine, that is a very serious situation. So we now here, so I say we have to be even more stronger than the ancestors. I'm a herbalist. I have brought back people to normalcy who was taking the vaccine and had implications. You never feel like that in the life until they took the vaccine. And I treat them and they're back to normal. I'm massaging herbalist and I'm also running for election. And I want people to know out there that I doesn't have to go to no elder or no one for permission to step up and raise the bar.
All right.
To a level that we as a people must live as human beings because we require too much. I have tried to introduce or involve some people call themselves Rasta in the movement. They're saying that Rasta don't get involved in politics. But let me tell you this, Bonnie Wheeler said there's problems to solve and we ought to get involved. It's either two things, either overthrow physically or you vote yourself in power.
All right.
His Majesty is not about the overthrowing thing unless it is absolutely necessary. I am not afraid of engaging in these things, but I'm not foolish and I'm not going to get myself into unnecessary violence. But I'll vote my way to the top because we are dealing with the logistics. Logistics are the laws that govern the course of God in heaven. There's no law that can overwhelm the laws of logistics. It's telling you about what is logical. That is what we're dealing with. So I just want to send a message out there. And there's some politicians also, like the brother Kalonji. People are asking me if I name Kalonji. But I realize I've said some things on Zedai's Radio that when we get into power, if we get into power, we will not just go into power like that. We will go into power in one part that people could raise their hands and give their views of bills to be passed, so what they think about these things.
Well, thank you. We want to take some more calls, all right?
Yes. So I just want to make the point clearly that I'm not Kalonji. I'm Ras Ijin for Afrocentric Redemption Movement. And we're going to give total duty-free and all good. And you plant all the ganja you want. And then we're going to have a massive food industry as well. Give thanks.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. It is 11:46. We'll take a short break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. We'll take this break and we'll be right back.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust to secure your investment. You need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us. TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the participant or caller and do not reflect the views of WINN FM 98.9. WINN FM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who, in WINN FM's considered opinion, is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air.
People make the world go round.
Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. It's 11:48. We break at 12 for the headline news. Just a few minutes left and we'll take some more calls. But for those of you who are just joining the program, just a bit of a recap. So we are on the topic of discord in the administration, in Team Unity, the former Team Unity administration. Prime Minister Harris alleging that Brantley sought to undermine him in the early parts of the administration of the coalition way back in 2015. Some of the callers shared their view on why we are where we are today, having an election. Some callers shared their view on that, well, the members from PAM and CCM, they failed to remove the PM and should have gone to Parliament or should have had a meeting within the Parliament internally. The question of what happens if two candidates get the same amount of votes, the possibility or how likely it is that one party would get 6 seats by itself to form the government. The question of, can that happen? It's possible, but is it likely to happen? And of course, the challenges of a coalition, different parties, different views, to meet the demands of their members. All of them may not be able to see eye to eye on every single issue, every topic or whatever. So we know that in any coalition there are going to be some challenges. Would we get another coalition government after the elections? That's left to be seen. Let's head back to the phone lines. We have some callers. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Devon.
Good morning.
Good morning to our listeners. Greetings once more in Jesus' name, the only Savior of sinners from their sins and from hell, and the second person of the eternal Trinity. Now, first of all, I'd like to say, where everything in life is concerned, okay, if we do not do things the Bible way, God, in his own timing, will bring it to an end, will cause confusion. As we read in the Bible, people who did not do things according to the Bible, God in his own time bring confusion in the camp, division, till when they even destroy their own self. And this goes for everything in life, including in politics. And that is why it is very foolish of us not to be doing things according to the Bible, including where politics are concerned. And by the way, only the Bible has all the answers. And Rastafari, like a lot of other religions, goes against the Bible. Only true Christianity that is biblical is in line with the Bible. And it's only true biblical Christianity that have this source, which is the Bible, the word of Jesus Christ, that has all of the answers for us, including where the political area is concerned in our lives. So I just want to say again, if we want the solutions, we have to go to the Bible. The Bible is the only answer. The Bible is the word of Jesus Christ. There is no other answer anywhere else. Thank you very much.
And thank you, caller, for your contribution to this program. We're still taking your calls here on Inside the News, right here on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. The phone lines are open at 466-0989, 762-0989, or 662-0989. We're heading back to the phone lines and we're taking this call. Caller, good morning. You are on the air.
Good morning, Devon. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. All is well with you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome.
Now, what concerns me is this. We would have heard Sean Richards at one point indicated that almost from the outset, Team Unity had problems. But we would have had the Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, up to December 2021, telling us that the performance of the Team Unity was a stellar performance. As a matter of fact, when he spoke about stellar performance, he was heaping praise upon Timothy Harris. And he told us that Timothy Harris was stellar, leadership was stellar in finance, in security, and all of these stuff. He was stellar. He spoke about Timothy leadership was miraculous. He spoke about this great leadership of Timothy Harris. He lauded the ministry, the Minister of Finance, and the Ministry of Finance, including the permanent secretaries, on the great work that they did. That is 2021. How could they come now and try to convince me that this man who all the members of the team, and the record is there to clear, who tell us that the leadership of this man was so great, that he deserved a better. We were the best in class over everybody else. How now they could come and convince me that this man was such a monster? Somebody was lying to us, Devon. And we have to hold those who lied to us for 7 years. We have to hold their feet to the fire. If we are going to hold Timothy Harris' feet to the fire, we have to equally hold every last one of them feet to the fire likewise. And so it is beyond me how we as a society accepted from the 6 that was fired that Team Unity was doing so great, that Timothy was doing so great and he's such a great leader. And then come to there, I must accept that Timothy is so bad. Now let me put another scenario to you, Devon. You have any dogs at home?
I do, about 3 of them.
Okay, you have dogs at home. Now, if you have a dog at home and the dog is tied to a leash, and you said to everybody who comes to your yard, that dog is a dog that bites. So stay away from its reach. Other persons who live in the yard with you gave the same advice. You post up signs around the yard and say, keep away from that dog because it bites. And I come to your yard and walk into your yard. Ignore all the signs that are there. Ignore what you said to me about this dog. And go play with the dog and the dog bite me. Who should I blame?
Self.
Okay, go. Let us look at this. The Team Unity construct now is presenting a narrative that Timothy Harris was so bad. that they knew since when Harris was with the Labour Party that Harris was bad because they were told by Douglas and told by whoever. So if they knew and they had all this information that this man was so bad, and they went ahead and teamed up with him and presented him to the world as the greatest leader that St. Kitts and Nevis has ever produced. The man who has done the most for the people of Nevis, barring none. This is what they presented to us. So now, if indeed Harris has beaten them, then we cannot blame Harris for biting them. We must blame them for being stupid. Because according to them, they were warned. Do it make any sense to you, my brother?
I follow you. I see where you're coming from.
This is the logic. But you see what happens? These people were so hell-bent on destroying Denzel Douglas and the Labour Party that they were willing to stoop to any level to make sure that they destroy Denzel Douglas and the Labour Party. And so they were willing to join with anybody. They were willing to ignore all the warning signs according to them that they got. I don't know what warning signs they got. But they were willing to push everything aside for one reason, to get after Denzel Douglas. I would not even say the Labour Party. To get after Denzel Douglas. And it has turned around and bite them. I conclude with this, Devon. Up to 2021 December, the budget hearing, the members of the parliament, and more so Mark Brantley, the Premier of Nevis, heap nothing but praise on Timothy Harris and his leadership. How could Mark Brantley or anybody convince me that this man is so bad? Is it because he exposed what they were doing undercover and we don't get anything? Finally, Devon, as I spoke about that, we would have heard that matters reached the cabinet, according to Timothy Harris, which Daniel Brantley and associate would have benefited from in some way. That Grant Laform would have benefited in some way. We are now hearing about the Spencer Brand project and all the other projects that came on stream. They came our way. The question that I have to ask, did anything in relation to fair share went to the cabinet of St. Kitts and Nevis? The answer to that, coming from Timothy Harris, is no. And there is nobody on the team with him who indicated to me as an division that the matter of fair share was ever discussed. Vance Army was the Premier of Nevis who signed that document. Vance Army was a member of the federal cabinet. Vance Army was responsible for Nevis affairs. His duty was to look after the affairs of Nevis. Is there any indication anywhere that Vance Army as Premier and Minister of Nevis Affairs said anything about fair share for Nevis after he would have signed a document in charge from whatever document it is? The answer to that is absolutely no. And so the vexing issue in Nevis is this matter of Timothy held back from us our fair share. The Premier was asked about it. I think if I could quote him right, he would have indicated that there's nothing in the law that speaks to that. And the issue is not something that is easy to work out. Well, why he didn't sit down and try to work it out? Why he didn't spend his effort to try to get it into law? No, he did none of that. But more importantly, he never took it to cabinet. And so the issue for me is not Harris. The issue for me is those persons who was in the cabinet with him, and especially these two from Nevis, who did absolutely nothing to make sure that Nevis get its fair share that they're arguing about, other than making noise saying that they want the fair share.
All right.
Thank you.
Caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. We are out of time. It is 12 o'clock here in the studios of WINN FM 98.9. This has been the first hour of Inside the News, and I've been your host, Devon Cornelius. We'll take this break now for the headline news, and when we come back, we will have some more Inside the News. So stick and stay for our headline news. We will be right back. This is Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. Let's take this break. We'll be right back.
You found the sound. 98.9. WINN FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Think before you bin it. There can be some use in it. The St. Kitts and Nevis Solid Waste Management, in collaboration with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission and the Department of Environment, presents Let's Recycle. We are encouraging all residential homes, commercial businesses, and schools to bring along your plastic bottles, metal cans, and aluminum cans, ready for an opportunity to win big. From 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every Tuesday at the following locations in St. Kitts: the Connery Roundabout, the parking lot at Buckley's in front of Best Buy, and the last Saturday of each month in Deep Bay. In Nevis, every second and fourth Friday of each month at Delta Petroleum, Ex-Petrol in Camps, Big Six in Gingerland, and Old Artisan Village in Charlestown. But wait, that's not all. 1 pound equals 1 point. So bring your recyclables and build up your points for a chance to win stainless steel thermal bottle, flatware set, and much more. To learn more about the recycling project, do visit our Facebook page at Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis, or contact us at 465-2372. The choice is yours. Save it or waste it. You are the difference. Reduce, reuse, recycle.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tilly Wall with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
With the WINN Headline News, I am Kevon Brown.
And I am Yolana Weeks.
Making the headlines,
PLP Communications Director Craig Tuckett weighs in on the call for election date. Dr. Cameron Wilkinson confirms a recent COVID-19 related death.
1 year after the assassination of Haiti's President Jovenel Moïse on July 7, 2021, local authorities announced the resumption of the judicial inquiry into his death. CARICOM addresses Shinzo Abe's assassination. Internationally, thousands of protesters have stormed the residence of Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa in Colombo. Now, the details.
It is less than a month away from the constitutional deadline for the St. Kitts Nevis National Assembly elections. Following the dissolution of Parliament on May 10, 2022, the Constitution allows for 90 days in which the elections should be held, which is August 8, 2022. The Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, is yet to announce the dates for nomination and election day. As such, there have been ongoing debates about the Prime Minister's morals and how the withholding of the election date is affecting the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and the functioning of the government. Director of Communications for the People's Labour Party, Mr. Craig Tuckett, speaking on behalf of Dr. Harris, says it is unfortunate that the Federation is having an election just 2 years after the 2020 elections, adding that the people who have contributed to the occurrence of the snap election should have thought about election fatigue before they made certain decisions. Tuckett suggests that the Prime Minister is acting in accordance with the Constitution and has time to announce the date for nominations and elections.
If persons are saying that there is election fatigue, they should have thought about this before they would have plunged us again into another national election after having given the Prime Minister a clear mandate for 5 years. Only 2 out of that 5 has been basically completed, and the persons who betrayed the trust of the people are the reason why we are here today. And so, all I can say on behalf of the Prime Minister, who I know can speak for himself very eloquently and intelligently, and on behalf of the party of which he leads, the People's Labour Party, the party of choice, and the party of inclusion, and the party of the fastest growing political party in St. Kitts and Nevis, I might just say in the Caribbean. We are following the Constitution, we are followers of the rule of law, and we will ensure, unfortunately as it is, because we never thought we would be here today, we will ensure that we have elections that is constitutionally due, whether it be on the 8th of August or before.
For the first time in the history of St. Kitts and Nevis, there are 6 political parties contesting the St. Kitts Nevis National Assembly elections. 33 candidates will be contesting the elections across 11 constituencies. 3 political parties in St. Kitts are contesting the elections: the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, the People's Action Movement, and the People's Labour Party. On Nevis, 3 political parties will be contesting: the Concerned Citizens Movement, the Nevis Reformation Party, and the Moral Restoration Movement. Confirmation has been given by representative of the People's Action Movement, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, the Nevis Reformation Party, and the People's Labour Party that they will be launching manifestos, most likely soft copies, once the election date is announced. Leader of the Moral Restoration Movement, Samuel Keynes, indicated to WINN FM that his party will not be launching a manifesto, but instead will be running on the mantra, Prime Minister at all cost. WINN FM was unable to verify whether or not the Concerned Citizens Movement will be launching a manifesto, as several calls to representatives of the party were unanswered. St. Kitts and Nevis has recorded its 44th COVID-19 related death. Dr. Cameron Wilkinson, Medical Chief of Staff at the Joseph N. France General Hospital, confirmed on Saturday morning, June 9, that an elderly unvaccinated woman passed away within the previous 24 hours. Wilkinson stated, quote, "This drives home the point that COVID-19 is still out there, that it is still a threat, and we need to give ourselves the best protection by being vaccinated," end quote. The St. Kitts and Nevis COVID-19 situation report dated Friday, July 8, 2022 at 6 p.m. shows that there is an additional COVID death on St. Kitts, bringing the total to 37. At current, there are 163 active cases in the country, 27 of which were recorded in the previous 24 hours. According to Wilkinson, in a previous conversation with WINN FM, the COVID-19 recoveries over the past few months have been tremendous. End quote. Within the last 24 hours, 50 recoveries were recorded. The total number of confirmed cases in St. Kitts and Nevis is 6,293, and 6,086 of those cases have been recovered. In March 2022, the COVID-19 task force hosted its farewell press briefing, where citizens and residents were encouraged to practice personal responsibility and vigilance. Individuals were also warned that COVID-19 still exists and would be around for some time.
In regional news, 1 year after the assassination of Haiti's President Jovenel Moïse on July 7, 2021, local authorities announced the resumption of the judicial inquiry into his death. The Virgin Islands Consortium has that report.
On Monday, days shy of the first anniversary of the assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse, which occurred a year ago, July 7th, local authorities announced the resumption of the judicial inquiry into his death. Investigating Magistrate Walter Wester-Voltaire, although tight-lipped on the details, told reporters this week that he is currently in the process of interviewing people who have been relevant to the investigation. This was subsequently confirmed by the government commissioner for Port-au-Prince, Jacques Lefontaine, who told French-language local publication Le Nouvelliste that the magistrate had summoned several people in for interviews in recent days. Voltaire is the fifth judicial officer to take control of the investigation, being appointed to head the probe on May 30th. Despite having had several predecessors, the case was said to still be in its very preliminary stages when Voltaire took the helm. Outside of the monumental complexity of the case, Voltaire's resumption of the investigation is also facing significant challenges from external forces, the most immediate of which is the problem of armed bandits who have been frequently attacking the courthouse in Port-au-Prince over the past month. Since mid-June, the prosecutor's office at the courthouse has been occupied by armed members of the Village de Dieu gang. However, authorities say they anticipate that control will be regained in the coming weeks. Lefontaine told reporters that the state must simply wait until the opportunity arises to retake the premises, but in that time it cannot capitulate to the bandits. Over the past year, several arrests have been made in connection with the assassination, but to date, a majority of the suspects who have been apprehended are facing trial in the U.S., not Haiti. One key suspect, however, has managed to evade both Haitian and U.S. authorities by seeking refuge in Turkey. Samir Hamdal was arrested in Istanbul on November 15th after he flew into the country from the United States. Requests for Hamdal's extradition were rejected on Monday after his attorneys argued before the courts that sending him back to Haiti was a short death sentence. They made a case for his release by referencing the Interpol red notice in his name, which at the time had already been lifted. Hamdal has always maintained that he had no knowledge of the assassination plan, despite being labeled a mastermind of the conspiracy to kill President Moïse. After Hamdal's extradition was denied, a Turkish court ordered his release.
CARICOM addresses Shinzo Abe's assassination and more from Primetime Caribbean.
An official statement from CARICOM Friday said the grouping was shocked and saddened by the assassination of the former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. The CARICOM release stated that it was Prime Minister Abe who, during a summit in Port of Spain, reset CARICOM-Japan relations by outlining his country's three-pillar policy towards the community. CARICOM said it is highly appreciative of Abe's significant contribution to enhancing relations between the region and Japan. The statement said that CARICOM extended deepest condolences to the family of Abe and the government and people of Japan on the death of their long-serving Prime Minister and the man, it said, gave great efforts to reshape his country and its place in the world. Abe was assassinated Friday on a street in western Japan by a gunman who shot him from behind as he delivered a campaign speech, an attack that stunned a nation with some of the world's strictest gun control laws. The 67-year-old Abe, who was Japan's longest-serving leader when he resigned in 2020, collapsed bleeding and was airlifted to a nearby hospital. He was later pronounced dead after receiving massive blood transfusions, officials said. The head of Nara Medical University's emergency department, Hidetada Fukushima, said Abe suffered major damage to his heart along with 2 neck wounds and damaged an artery. A suspected gunman was arrested at the scene and identified as Tetsuya Yumagami, 41-year-old, a former member of Japan's Navy. Public broadcaster NHK reported that he said he wanted to kill Abe for reasons unrelated to politics. A Jamaican man has been sentenced to nearly 14 years in a U.S. prison after he provided almost 60 pounds of cocaine to a flight attendant to smuggle aboard a flight from Los Angeles International Airport. Gaston Brown, 42, of a Clarendon address, was given a 165-month sentence. Brown was convicted in 2018 of charges that included identity theft and conspiracy to possess and distribute cocaine. Prosecutors said on 6 occasions in 2015 and 2016, Brown paid former JetBlue flight attendant and Jamaican beauty queen Marsha Gay Reynolds to smuggle drugs and cash in suitcases through crew member checkpoints at Los Angeles International Airport and at New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport. Brown, a convicted felon who was in the U.S. illegally, then met Reynolds and retrieved the suitcases at the airport using identities he had stolen from 2 mentally disabled men to avoid detection. He was charged with providing Reynolds with 59.5 pounds of cocaine that she tried to smuggle in a suitcase at LAX in March 2016. Reynolds ran from security after ditching the cocaine but surrendered days later. At least 4 permanent secretaries in Grenada have been ordered to go immediately on leave as the new administration of Dickon Mitchell seek to settle in following the June 23 elections. 2 of the 4 have confirmed to Carib Update News that they have been ordered to take all outstanding leave. It is also reported that the Chief Personnel Officer with the Public Service Commission has also been advised verbally to proceed on leave, but there appears to be some contention over the instruction. It is believed that the public servant is seeking legal advice on the issue. On Friday, new Prime Minister Mitchell met with senior staff at the Ministry of Finance, where he is also the minister. During the meeting, according to a Government Information Service release, he warned against heightened expectations in his new administration, saying it does not possess a magic wand to fix all issues. He also told staffers there that he wants to see the use of more technology in the operations of the department. He said he hopes the department could also go completely paperless soon. Prime Minister Mitchell returned home Wednesday after attending the CARICOM summit in Suriname. He spoke to the Government Information Service about the summit on his return to St. George's.
I think overall it was a successful summit meeting. There are a number of critical issues that we discussed, but I think we also recognize that there is a critical need to also reinvigorate the integration process, particularly the CSME. There are some major issues we need to address: climate change, food security, regional security concerns as well, in particular some of the crime levels in some of our islands. For the OECS in particular, airlift and travel. Getting to Suriname was a difficult challenge. We had to go up on a RSS flight, a charter plane in the Caribbean into Suriname, charter flight from Suriname to Barbados, and again, private charter to get to Grenada. So that in and of itself tells you the challenges we face. So we also had the opportunity to do some bilateral discussions, particularly amongst the OECS and Barbados, as to how we address this issue of airlift and regional travel.
We now bring you these international reports.
Our top story this hour: in Sri Lanka, protesters stormed the presidential official residence in Colombo as the country's economic crisis deepens. The whereabouts of President Rajapaksa are unknown. As we're hearing from our guest in the last hour, he's from a relatively affluent background. He runs a business organisation. He's not part of the country who would you would effectively be most directly affected, and yet fuel, gas, all those things can't be got by anybody who's got money or hasn't got money. There's a shortage of foreign currency. In fact, the central bank has run out of it, which means it can't buy goods on the international market, and it imports a lot of things like food. Well, earlier our South Asia editor Ambarasan Etharajan gave us an update and tried to explain some of the background to this development.
Huge crowds gathered outside the president's compound demanding his resignation. They had travelled from across the country to join the demonstration, which went ahead despite the authorities attempting to impose a curfew. Troops fired into the air and used tear gas to try to hold people back, but they broke through the barricades. It's the latest demonstration caused by Sri Lanka's worst economic crisis in decades. The country is suffering rampant inflation and struggling to import food, fuel and medicine. Following the latest developments, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has summoned an emergency meeting of political party leaders to discuss the current situation. Sri Lanka is facing a crippling shortage of foreign currency reserves. Yesterday, the UN urged both the authorities and the protesters to show restraint and make sure the rally was peaceful. The continuing economic hardship has forced the people to rally against the government once again.
Let's talk now to Fidel Fernando, who joins us from Galle in Sri Lanka. Fidel, the official verdict is that the president left before the crowds arrived. Whether he left before or after is almost academic, because, I mean, effectively, he'd still be in the presidential palace if it wasn't being stormed. So, I mean, it's a symbolic act, isn't it, that shows really how the political class has lost control of Sri Lanka.
Absolutely. I think it feels like a revolutionary day here. And the storming of the presidential palace is, I don't think anybody expected to find the president there. People already knew that he wouldn't be there, but it is very much a symbolic act. And it's something that there's been months of lead up to this. It hasn't just happened overnight. People have been agitating for his removal since, in widespread protests since February and March. It's been as concerted an effort and as widespread a kind of people's movement as has ever been seen in Sri Lanka. And there are all sorts of rumors flying around, whether he's left, whether he's not left. There's rumors that he, in a convoy, went to the international airport and is preparing to leave. There were other rumors during the day that he was boarding a ship. Either way, he has not been seen today. He has not been heard from at all. And people who feel completely cut off and who feel as if Sri Lanka's current political class do not hear them, that there is a massive gap between the people and the political elite, today have taken over not just the palace, but they also stormed the presidential secretariat, outside which they had been protesting for months. An Occupy movement has been going on there for a long time. And to take over those places, and it hasn't been violent on the protesters' side,
Yes.
although there was tear gas used at some points. Protesters have been largely peaceful, through the course of this, and I'm talking going back several months. So to take those over does feel like a significant moment. We still haven't got a resignation from either the president or the prime minister, though. So that is what people are still agitating for.
Sri Lanka has a very noble democratic tradition. It's a country that has very lively politics, but it's kind of enthusiastic in its support for accountable government. This government has clearly failed on the accountability side of the equation, and has also failed on the basics to deliver food and fuel and affordability. But it leaves a vacuum, doesn't it? That presumably was the biggest worry, not just for many in Sri Lanka, but also for people, let's say, watching in Delhi. They're going to be watching presumably and saying, Sri Lanka's a really important country. It's now in a crisis that's so big that it could destroy itself if it doesn't get the support and help it needs to do the most basic things like feed its people.
Absolutely, and there's an ongoing IMF negotiation currently underway between the Sri Lankan government and the IMF. IMF bailout is being discussed, and debt restructuring, which Sri Lanka desperately needs that process to succeed and to give Sri Lanka a good deal out of that. However, you also have a presidency and a prime ministership that has lost all legitimacy. There is no legitimacy in those places of power right now. and people do not trust.
Fidel, sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to let people know the pictures we're seeing are actually from Gaul, where you are, and they underline the point about whether people are on motorbikes or on foot, or bicycle, more likely at the moment because of fuel. These are peaceful protests. This is not violent. It's not irrational rage. It's very, very calm anger about the fact that people have not been able to eat and keep themselves warm and all the rest of it for weeks now.
Yeah, absolutely. There and in Gaul, where I've been in the protesting crowds all day, there are infants. There are infants. There are school children. There's elderly Sri Lankans. All gamut of kind of Sri Lankans being represented there. And what's been particularly encouraging is this kind of repudiation of the majoritarian politics that the Rajapaksas, in particular, have kind of visited upon the island, and kind of a realization that is no longer the way that Sri Lanka wants to do things. The chants just outside, I don't know if you can hear them, the chants just outside that are happening, they're just as much against the idea, of being divided by race and ethnicity and by religion. There are Buddhist monks out there. There are Catholic priests. There are nuns. There are Hindu swamis. Everybody is being represented at these protests today. And despite their enormous size, and despite, it feels like the whole country is out on the streets today. They have been incredibly peaceful. There are little kind of pockets of kind of small violence that have happened, but there has not been anything substantial.
Fidel Fernando, really great to speak to you. Thank you so much for your reportage. I'm sure we're going to speak again during the course of this weekend. For now, thanks very much.
For nutrition, it's for treating severe acute malnutrition of children.
As things stand, this may end up being the last shipment of humanitarian aid, food and medicine from Turkey into northwest Syria.
These are hygiene kits. Kitchen sets have already been loaded.
4.1 million people rely on this lifeline, but it must be authorised by the UN Security Council. And in the council chamber, there's deadlock. A resolution to allow the crossing to operate for another 12 months was supported by all members apart from China, which abstained, and Russia, which used its veto. Russia then presented its own rival resolution, allowing the crossing to operate for 6 months, but it didn't pass. It was only supported by Russia and China.
This is not a moment to mince words. I have long said that this is a life and death issue, and tragically, people will die because of this vote and the country who shamelessly deployed the veto today.
Negotiations will continue. The current authorization for the border crossing runs out at the end of Sunday. But Russia doesn't sound in the mood for compromise.
If someone proposes our draft, we would not say that this is our intellectual property. If someone proposes our draft for the second time, why not? If not, I think that the page is over.
So I asked the US ambassador, with the Russians unwilling to compromise, will she have to back down and accept the Russian proposal?
Now that would be very humiliating for you, but it would be better than nothing, wouldn't it?
His resolution was nothing. We got 99% of the way there with the Russians. We gave them 99%. They admitted they got 99%. And they're holding out for 1% to continue to give support to the Syrian regime.
Obviously, tensions around the council table have increased because of the ongoing war in Ukraine, but this is about more than Security Council theatre and drama. It's about millions of Syrians, their lives at risk from starvation or lack of medical treatment. James Bays, Al Jazeera, at the United Nations.
U.S. President Joe Biden signed an executive order on Friday to help protect access to reproductive health care after the Supreme Court's decision to revoke the half-century right to abortion.
What we're witnessing wasn't a constitutional judgment. It was an exercise in raw political power.
Biden has been under pressure from his own party to take action after the landmark decision last month to overturn Roe v. Wade, which upended nearly 50 years of protections for women's reproductive rights.
We cannot allow an out-of-control Supreme Court working in conjunction with extremist elements of the Republican Party to take away freedoms and our personal autonomy.
Biden cited recent reports that a 10-year-old girl in Ohio was forced to travel to Indiana to have an abortion after she was raped.
Imagine being that little girl. I'm serious. Just imagine being that little girl, 10 years old.
The executive order directs the Health and Human Services Department to protect and expand access to medication abortion approved by the Food and Drug Administration, and to ensure women have access to emergency medical care, family planning services, and birth control. It also protects patients' rights to privacy. The order's impact may be limited, as U.S. states can make laws restricting abortion and access to medication. But the president laid out how abortion rights could be secured by voters if they elected more pro-choice senators, and warned if Republicans take control after the midterm elections, reproductive rights could be further endangered.
And now my Republican friends are talking about getting the Congress to pass a national ban in the extreme positions that they're taking in some of these states.
Biden said if such a bill were passed while he is in office, he would use his power to veto it.
You were listening to the WINN FM headline news on 98.9. Our top stories were:
PLP Communications Director Craig Tuckett weighs in on the call for election date. Dr. Cameron Wilkinson confirms a recent COVID-19 related death.
1 year after the assassination of Haiti's President Jovenel Moïse on July 7, 2021, local authorities announced the resumption of the judicial inquiry into his death. CARICOM addresses Shinzo Abe's assassination. Internationally, thousands of protesters have stormed the residence of Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa in Colombo. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINN FM Headline News. The Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and the ICDF Taiwan Technical Mission.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Dealing well with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we've got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Dealio Walwyn, people you can trust.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
The Department of Environment and St. Kitts and Nevis Solid Waste Management, along with Taiwan ICDF Technical Mission, are working on a recycling project. Everyone may hear about recycling, but how can you do your part? You can collect the plastic and metal recyclables and bring them to 7 different locations from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In St. Kitts, every 2nd and 4th Tuesday at Connery, every 1st and 3rd Tuesday at Buckley's, the last Saturday of each month at Deer Bay Town. In Nevis, 2nd and 4th Friday at Delta Petroleum Ex-Petrol, Big Six, and Old Artisan Village alternately. Bring recyclables to earn prizes. If you bring £1, you can get 1 point. The prizes include shopping bags, logo cups, stainless flatware sets, and stainless thermal bottles. Bring more recyclables to get larger prizes. Find more information on our Facebook page, Let's Recycle in St. Kitts and Nevis. From now on, save the future, think smart, take part.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
People make the world go
Yes? Jean, body spray is hot, boy. I can't take it.
Well, it's a good thing I called. The TDC Home and Building Depots are having their Cool 'em Down sale with 20% discount on fans, AC units, coolers, fridges, and more to beat this heat, girl.
Girl, Betty, you're making joke.
No, so stop sweating and let's go to the store now.
Ooh, you come pick me up, because May want to miss the sale at TDC Home and Building Depot.
Yeah, man. And don't forget you can also shop online too, using shoptdcgroup.com.
Cool.
Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
And I am back with some more Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. It is 12:41 and we are continuing the program for today. For those of you who are just tuning in, I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. It is Saturday, July 9, 2022. I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be here to interact with you, the good listeners of WINN FM 98.9. Guys, we're going to head straight back to the phone lines and we are going to hear from our callers. Let's take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
Good afternoon. How are you? We were talking about the turbulence, the discord in team unity, where the Prime Minister alleged that Brantley sought to undermine him in 2015.
I mean, getting involved in that. Timothy Harris is a big-time international lineman. You see Timothy said lately, oh, I got an election in my pocket and I'm frustrating them and this and that. This is the same man tell the nation, you know.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because that is what we wanted to talk about in the second hour.
This is the same man. This boy needs to get locked up. He needs to be arrested. He constantly disrespecting and lying to the nation. He said to us in 2015, we need an election date. It needs to stop. I mean, you hear Douglas Bragg that, oh, I got them good. They can't even get the campaign because when the election on call. Where's the big wig in this country? Where's people like Tony Federick who you're supposed to show? Where's Carla Astafan? Where's Sandra Atherton? Where's the same girl who used to be on the program, Brian, who's going to run for Tim? She had programs talking about these things. She had programs talking about integrity, transparency, and accountability. How them they could come in front of people fierce? Some people need to run when she come with she foolishness, because the first thing they need to ask her, my lady, when you had the program on WINN FM, what it was all about? Were you genuine then? Are you genuine now? Because their credibility is at stake. Miss Bryant had a program here. She was in the seat like you, speaking about all of these things. And she gonna watch me and tell me she's with Timothy Harris, who is saying to the country, I'm frustrating them, I got it in my pocket. Where is all these? Where's the chamber? Where's Charles Wilkins? Where's Michael Morton? Where's all these high society people? Why are they so quiet? My brother, our country is in a mess. Listen to the Prime Minister, the same man who said to the country, brother, to just got election in his pocket, and it was so wrong. My brother, you see what happened in Sri Lanka? When they stormed the government at the premier building, they said the man in China or Japan, I was rejoicing somebody kill him. I'm not encouraging nothing, but people are getting fed up. You know what, tell me the woman in the hospital supposed to be a doctor, got patient, and she can't go look after she patient. I listened to a girl this morning on a live talking about she family dead in the hospital, but yet a killer up and down a boat talking about how the hospital in a good state. And while I'm here, let's talk about cricket. Let's talk about the youths. Because I listen to Nubian chatting a bunch of stupidness to people. Oh, with the peace, and he do this with the peace. Well, what about the 20-something youngsters who played for St. Kitts this week in the under 17? They did so well, Mr. Cornelius. The guys them played their heart out for St. Kitts. Two of them that make the team. My son would have made the team, unfortunately, in the backs. But that's not the point. The issue here, where's the people in this country to support our youth who is doing well? We're focusing on the peace. One player was bringing in a bag, a cricket bag, because he camouflage, he can't get the bag. The parents saying the son and the young son into no crime, but he cannot get the cricket bag to put in the cricket gears. But we're focusing on the peace. When I was in TDC, hundreds of weed eaters going out of TDC. But the government pay for them. But the government cannot pay for the youngsters and look after the youngsters who go in on the right track. My son got a hatchet in the tournament. 3 wickets in 3 balls, for some people don't understand. That's probably history in St. Kitts. Is anybody studying with them? The St. Kitts team went to Nevis. The president for the Cricket Association came. There was the other people who in charge of the government, the Minister of Sports. When we reached to Nevis, we not seen a government minister to welcome the team. None of them come to the ground. I can't say when this man team reach if the same thing happen. These are the things we're supposed to be discussing. These are the things these young people coming around supposed to be telling them about. We cricketers have a bright future, but we're studying the youngsters. We're focusing on the peace. The peace. The youngsters need help, my brother. The youngsters need help. Not even ZZ come to 2 minutes with the youngsters. Not even the cameraman. I'm blaming the Cricket Association. Because they did the part with the lady, the guys didn't get food. They get, how much more can they do? When we had the World Cup, Charles Morton is the director of sport and he was in charge of the World Cup. I see him to every game because he was getting paid. His wife get paid. His son get paid. They say his son-in-law get paid. But have you seen him in this tournament here with the locals? They're not interested.
All right.
CPL coming up, my brother. You're going to see everybody. This government and these people need to stop treat our youngsters like this. They deserve better. And we up and down talking about peace. I'm happy for the peace. But Cardell and all the other little boys who in the team ain't in a violence. But the government cannot put nothing to help them. Not even a trophy. The most wicked in the tournament, not even a trophy they could get. And before I go, my Scarlinas, when we had the COVID, the Caribbean was one Caribbean. All of these big stone leaders were singing the same song. But now, America and England and shut back the door, some of the Caribbean countries still holding on the stupidness. So because of that, my son can't go. But we had players who came here in the World Cup, some about 20 of them I made to understand, did not take the vaccine, but how to come think it and play. My brother, pay attention to the outside world. People ain't crazy. They had a shooting there, they say again, in New York, or wherever they had 4th of July. You see what happened in Sri Lanka? People ain't crazy. People just getting fed up. And I guess they're doing what they got to do. My brother, you have a good day. All
right, caller, you too, and do take care. This is Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. It's 12:49. The phone lines are open, and we are taking your calls at 466-0989 or 762-0989, 662-0989. That is what we wanted to touch on for the second hour. Set election dates. Set election dates. The Prime Minister said that the election date will be announced at the right time. So we are still in this conversation of having set election dates. Let's head back to the phone lines. All right, we seem to have lost that caller. Please call us back at 466-0989. Yes, the Prime Minister said that the election date will be announced at the right time as he's still within the 90-day period. Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Devon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right.
First off, let us all agree that this is not an ordinary election. I think most voters would agree on that. Okay? And there's another thing that I think most voters would agree on, and that is we are definitely overwhelmed. We have information overload, we have politics overload, we are election weary. The country badly needs a period of stability, a cooling off period from all this politics, right? We need to focus now on getting on with our lives and the development of the country and making sure we position ourselves to at least maintain our leadership position in the Caribbean. Now, the only way that that can happen is if the voters deliver a clear mandate to one of the parties so that they can be assured of stability for the next 5 years. Anything other than that, we are basically gambling with our future. We're gambling with whether or not a coalition, a new coalition, can work together, whether or not we are going to be back to the polls again a year or 2 or 3 years after. Anything else is a gamble. It appears to me that the only choice open to voters is to elect the Labour Party. They are the only party positioned to win an outright majority of seats, that is. Okay? The other parties and their politicians have essentially disqualified each other with all the revelations that have come up in the last couple of months and us learning that these things have been going on from the outset. They managed to hide it from us. Do we really want politicians leading us who are hiding things from us? That don't make any sense, right? Look at the latest revelation that the Prime Minister made, that Sean asked for the firing of suggested that he fire Premier Brantley.
Mm-hmm.
That does not bode well for any future coalition between CCM and PAM. You really think that Brantley may not be speaking about it, but you really think that is not at the back of his mind? And whatever the reasons that Sean may have for suggesting that to the Prime Minister, if he did, and he hasn't denied it, so we have to assume that he did, whatever the reasons he had, have those just vanished overnight because it is expedient to form an alliance with the CCM now? That is what we don't need. We don't need those kind of machinations for the next 5 years, right? We had enough of that. All the leaders of the Unity Coalition, they are tainted in some way, some shape or form. That is what they've been telling us over the last weeks and months. All the leaders of the parties in the Unity Coalition and all the leaders certainly in the major parties in PAM and CCM and PLP, all the leaders except Dr. Jew, which is why I think that, well, Dr. Jew has not been in government, and so he offers the fresh face and the fresh start that we need, okay? Because the others have lied to us. They've been lying to us all along. You ask the average voter, would you like a leader who lies to us? Would you like a representative who is going to lie to you? None of them can say yes. Not one. Okay? They may still go out and vote for that person for other reasons. Okay? Because there's a lot of transactional politics going on now. But if they really search their consciences, they would not vote for somebody who deliberately went out to lie to them. And so they cannot be trusted. They themselves have said they cannot trust each other. But then why should the electorate trust them? Right? I would really like to hear some of the conversations on the campaign trail, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What they could be telling voters about why they should be reelected after they've messed up. I would really love to hear some of those conversations.
But What are your thoughts on this in terms of one party on St. Kitts getting the majority, which is 6 seats? Do you see that, while we know that it is possible, do you think that it would happen in this election?
Well, I'd say this. Who could have predicted the results of the Grenada elections? When you're dealing with dealing with an electorate, right? You never know what they may be thinking underneath. There's that so-called silent majority in the first place, and then there is this feeling, the gut feeling, because generally speaking, people want to do the right thing. They want to do the right things for themselves and for the future. And practically every voter has a sense of what is right and what is wrong. Okay? What is civil and what is uncivil. Who divides and who unites. Every voter has a sense of that. Who will deliver and who won't. Okay? And if all voters have this in mind and they go to the polls thinking, well, I need to do the right thing here. What is the right thing?
All right.
There is no way that they would come up with re-electing what has been the government for the past 7 years. Right? No way. Because there are things to point to where they have messed up. All right? And there's every reason to, just like the people of Grenada, for them to just come together and decide that, and they don't even have to come together. It can just be the underlying momentum that says, listen, we need a fresh start. We need a break from all these confusion and machinations and lying and all the corruption and the nepotism and all of that has come to the fore over the last couple months, but which has been going on for years. And so in that kind of environment, it would not surprise me one bit if the Labour Party doesn't get an outright majority. And I said the Labour Party because the others doesn't seem to be in a position to, having been there before and being responsible for the mess that we're in, and all of them are responsible. It's not just any one person. Yes, the Prime Minister was leading the pack, but they stayed there and looked at all this dysfunction happening in government and tolerated it. And some of them even came out and said, instead of coming to the people and say, we are having these kinds of problems, and put pressure on the Prime Minister or whoever else to solve these problems, they come out and say everything is hunky-dory. The Prime Minister is the best thing since sliced bread. Now they come in, they're doing an about turn.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We want to take we'll take this break, and when we come back, we'll take some more calls right here on Inside the News on WINN FM 98.9. Let's take this break, and we will be right back. It's 1 o'clock, so we're going to head right up until 1:30. We will be taking some more calls for you to weigh in on the topic at hand. Let's take this break. We'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
People make the world go
Class, it's
that time of year again to get everything you need for back to school. Go to the TDC Home and Building Depot in St. Kitts and City Drugstore Nevis Limited or shop tdcgroup.com. Shop and get deep discounts for all your school essentials. Backpacks, notebooks, pens, pencils, school bundles, computers, and more. While you're there, be sure to donate to Shop and Share to help the less fortunate and stay ahead of the grade. Oh, and don't forget, Flash Sale Fridays. Now that you know, class is dismissed. See you at the TDC Home and Building Depot and City Drugstore Nevis Limited. Terms and conditions apply. See stores for details.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the participant or caller and do not reflect the views of WINN FM 98.9. WINN FM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who, in WINN FM's considered opinion, is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air.
Buying your medication is easy with City Drugstore's curbside pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drugstore's curbside pickup service.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. It's 3 minutes past the hour of 1 and we will be taking some more calls. For those of you who are just joining the program, we've shifted and we are now on the topic of a set election date. Not a detailed conversation, but more so on the comment or the statement by the Prime Minister that he will announce the election date at the right time. And many believe that that right time is coming very soon. The Prime Minister said no one other than the Prime Minister of the country can determine when the general elections will be held. He said all law-abiding citizens will await until such an announcement will be made. What we are hearing are gimmicks, political antics, and basically much about nothing, because constitutionally, we know when the election must be held. And there's an outer date in August by which the election will be held. We will conduct ourselves in accordance with the constitutional ambit and the mandate granted to the Prime Minister in our Westminster democracy. We are a solid and practiced democracy. Our citizens and residents have nothing to fear. We will contest a clean election and issues-based questions free of all of the childishness that we see coming from the leaders opposite. At the right time, we will announce the election date, not at the whim and fancy of others, but in accordance with the constitutional mandate given to the Prime Minister or given to us by the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and in accordance with the Constitution, said Dr. Harris. Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Perfect love and joy. Good day, greetings. How are you day going, brother Ivan?
I'm doing good, thanks. What about you?
Me thankful for life. Me here in mansion, you just taking the nice sunny light and the breeze coming from off of the ocean.
Aye.
But me just a call because I'm not close to radio to really dissect your information you're sharing to the public, really, yeah, but just let me make a call to see if I could get you, you know?
Sure.
So what is your program schedule as?
Well, right now we're we're talking about the comment from the Prime Minister regarding the election date. He said the election will be announced at the right time. And earlier we spoke about where the Prime Minister alleged that the discord in Team Unity began as early as 2015. He alleged that the former Foreign Affairs Minister Mark Brantley attempted to, did not support him as Prime Minister and was supporting someone else. So, in other words, there was confusion in Team Unity since 2015.
I would like to emphasize that the first one, your challenge here, the election date. Now, blessed day to your listeners via radio and internet, and may you all go with this strength of the Creator and not with this strength of mankind, because mankind has turned itself to the weakness of life. But let me continue the dialogue. Now, here is it that the Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis and his colleagues had indicated to us as a people that in 2014, when they do get into office, they will make sure that there will be a date set for election. That's what he stated. We will no longer have election like how the former Prime Minister used to have it in his own convenient time. Mind, those are not my words. His words say so, and his colleagues them say so. Now they have a problem where they had split in the time after the 2020 election, where they had went handsomely with 9 seats and 2 was set to the opposition. And you're telling me these people could not put court together and make sure to finalize our election date in this time, so people could have an understanding when the election will be called? Now the Prime Minister said that he fired 6 of his members from the cabinet, and did the thing what he did after when he didn't do the firing, he said he asked and the advice of the Governor General, he asked the Governor General to this what do call it word?
Dissolve the Parliament.
Dissolve Parliament. Well, if you dissolve in Parliament, what the next thing you're supposed to do in call election date and set before as they call it nomination day? You're supposed to give these dates for these 2 movements that is taking place in our atmosphere. You see, that this is a tick for tack, Brother Cornelius. And that is why we people got to really understand and stop playing fool with the political parties, them, and the political people, them who say they so care about them. Because this is the way they're going forward. Well, look, what for the next generation? That means we're steering them up to be more corrupt than how we cover up here right now. If we don't look sharp. I'm glad they don't take part in the political spectrum, because I realize how damaging it could be to our people, yeah? I never vote in things, and if I would never vote until we understand how to educate the people properly and bring people to us a sense of awareness in how we're going forward in the context of politics. You see, I use the word in the context of politics, because even though these people who aspire to be as candidates, them have the final say, is the people who have the economical power have the...
Formed, Dr. Harris exemplified good leadership. All units of Team Unity need to promote their individual plans for the country if they were to be elected. This is from JBM. Let's head back to the phone lines. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. It's 12 minutes past the hour of 1. We are continuing the conversation right here on WINN FM 98.9. This is Inside the News. We have some more callers, so we'll take these calls right now. Caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Yeah, Mr. Cornelius.
Talk to me.
The caller well ago can't say it no better. We got to take serious stock, especially Timothy Harris. This guy got to go. Must go. Has to go. On all costs. This boy is wicked. We never see a politician like this in history. Never ever. Never ever see a behavior like this in politics. I mean, come on, Mr. Carnitas. Douglas, you're illegal. 6 is more than this. And look at this man today. My people are up and down behind the Timothy Harris, you know. Oh, you remember Jim Jones in Guyana? People who behind the Tim remember Jim Jones in Guyana. Akira this morning banging his chest for hospital. A lady went in the hospital, pushed herself, went into surgery. She come back out in a body bag. Up to today, speaking to you, Akira not come look for the family. But she up and down banging his chest this morning. Akira them just as wicked as Tim. A lady still alive today, I'm going to send it to you. Talking about she family, she auntie dead in the hospital this week. And the kind of behavior was going on in the hospital. But she walked in today in a walk and beat in her chest. Akila, he had 5 years. Within the 5 years, how much people pass away in the hospital? Many people don't die in the hospital. And one of the idiots them on Facebook, one of the fake page, where people are supposed to die. Akila has not come look for the woman up to today. He's going on a year now. Because I remember the Saturday like today when the mother said to me, I cook this big girl in the hospital. I said, go get child. She said, yeah. I said, child again. Another lady said, the only one go get child cook. The man said, she's going home to bed to come back, to go back to the hospital to see her daughter. While at home I get the sad news, I went over the road to make sure what hearing is the truth. And up until now, Akila has not come and looked for the family. A lady don't do it for me, Lady Rogers. Same incident. We see the fella in Monkey Hill.
All right. We'll call it. We want to take some more calls, okay?
My brother, we're in a sad state of affair in this country. Timothy Harris, you have to go. You must go. And this is a must. I don't care how much money you pay. I don't know if you go pay in the sky. Timothy, this is your last time because we're not going to sit down and allow you to do as you like anymore. It's done. It's dusted. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you for your contribution to this program. It is 15 minutes past the hour, so we have about 50 minutes left before we wrap up the program for today. We are still taking your calls, and we're on the conversation of a set election date. Let me say we're not going as in depth as we would like to, and this would be something that we would visit in the future. We'll come back with this conversation, but more detailed. But this is just based on what the Prime Minister said, where the election date will be announced at the right time. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the participant or caller and do not reflect the views of WINN FM 98.9. WINN FM reserves the right to disconnect any caller who infringes the law or offends the right of any person. The station will also refuse to take any call from any person who, in WINN FM's considered opinion, is likely to expose the station to liability for statements made on the air.
TDC Financial Services. We're here for you to help you make your dreams come true. Whether your needs are big or small, we'll support you with them all. TDC Financial Services. We are strong. TDC Financial Services. This is where you belong.
TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects or sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. It's 17 minutes past the hour of 1. We'll end this program at 1:30, but let me just use this opportunity to say thank you so much for participating and joining the program today. Those of you who called, those of you who are listening via the internet, thank you so much. We'll take some more calls. Let's take this call right now. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Let's take this other one. Caller, you're on the air. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Devon.
How are you? Good afternoon.
Oh, I hear listening to the program, and I'm just here listening. Tuning just a while ago. I just come from mountain looking for the animals, so I just want to make my contribution as usual. And first, I want to thank God for life. Thank God for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the country we're born into. I'm doing well for myself and helping out my elderly and the young ones who ain't can't help themselves. I'm trying to help. But Devon, I want to know where Curtis Cook and Mr. McMahon was. I want to know whether it was in the past when no motion and no confidence come against the former Prime Minister. And Curtis Cook was the one rallying up and down when we were there protesting. The election is some date, this date. Mr. Devon, Kalinos, the Prime Minister is not doing nothing wrong, 6 months get fired from the cabinet. The Prime Minister deserves the house. And he don't set an election date. When he would to call election, he call election. He ain't doing nothing wrong with the Constitution. And the country going well. And those who out there feel and feel like the country doing well and want to cause havoc in the country, they could do it. Because the country got rules, the country got laws. You understand? Every day he come in and just walking, talking and want to cause havoc in the country with violence. Critician ain't that, we ain't that. And that's why Labour Party going to stay where they be. That's why they're going to stay where they be. And I call in on the young people of this Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, go to the best they could get. Because Dr. Harris looked down to the ordinary nitty-gritty man in this country. He looked down to them. I was a farmer PAM, a member PAM. And never one day, never gonna platform got up. I too done for that. I too mumu for that. You understand? And Dr. Harris has uplifted this country with so much things. With the VAT, gonna revamp soon. Totally. Man, people, we got to consider, we got a conscience. We got to get a conscience, Devon. And stop predicting now the country, us. When you go say these things and bring down the country and start on the negative things, and things stop happening, things stop coming, it's the same party why you got wanting to be government. When I don't call in the country and try to bring down the country to nothing. But I must take it easy. Dr. Harris is doing a good job right now. I say that he's going to be Prime Minister forever because nobody can rule forever. But for now, he wants to show about his cheat. We got to give him his cheat. He ain't get it to Tom. He can't get it to Tom. And he got to get hit to Tom as the Prime Minister of this country. He has done well in the past, and he done well again. And the people must vote and elect Dr. Harris as the Prime Minister of St. Kitts Nevis. He has done well, Devon. You have a wonderful day. God bless.
All right, you too, take care, and thank you so much for your contribution to this program. It is 1:21, guys. We are winding down. We end this program at 1:30. We'll take some more calls. Let me say thank you so much for your contribution to this program. For those of you who are just tuning in, we're on the conversation of a set election date. Today is the 9th of July, so we know very soon we will hear the announcement. The people will head to the polls, and they will choose who they want to govern this land. Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, you are on the air. Turn off the radio, caller.
Hello, yes. Good afternoon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, how are you?
If life was to make you rich, you hear the guy with a bit rich, he got all the money in St. Kitts right now. He told me in the 90s when he went on the platform down Boyd. You talk about the first time he went on platform this morning. I don't know, he telling Devon to get by, Politics, stop it. Politics, because you get to envelop a brown envelope now. The way you're saying, politics, we want the mandate. Mr. Harris say on Greenland Park. Oh, Mr. Douglas had the date in his back pocket. It's provoking people, but things don't go down as it should. Stop it, don't lie. I don't know why they're paying always in your need them. Because you're just telling a lie to promote yourself. You hear, devil, let me tell you, I always behind the politics trail, you hear? He told us on Greenland's past. Oh, never again. This Mr. Douglas got the date in his back pocket. But devil, he believe he's smart. But I'm going to everybody went to school. Morning and at midnight. He put on some name lately. Right? And they say the 15th of the month is when the name them could pass. Mr. Harris might stop want to cause havoc in this country. Stop letting our young people want to die foolish. Go got a million guard around you. See a guard shooting up somebody there overseas. You hear? Stop it. Stop it. Don't stop provoke people. Yeah, the date, when to do it, provoking people, Devon. And they cannot sit here and idle by hear politics talking nonsense. The man before him talking the right thing. Because he's saying what he's saying after him. He's saying that this thing wasn't going to happen again. And that's why he didn't pass the date also in the House. They had enough people that could have passed the date and the time. But he just provoking because he wants to steal the election. And we want to steal election stealing. If people in Tabernacle and all, they were refusing him.
All right.
Era.
We want to take some more calls, okay? So quickly, wrap it up.
Good afternoon. I don't know if people are telling a lie just to get politics stuff.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution. Let's take this last call. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. We'll take one final call. It's 1:25, about 5 minutes left. This is Inside the News here on WINN FM 98.9. Let's take this caller. Caller, good afternoon. You are on the air.
Yes. Devon, we must ask ourselves, why would the Prime Minister at this late stage be trying to get some advantage from the decision on when to hold elections? Okay, because it's at the 11th hour. What possible reason could there be for us to be at this point still agonizing over when is election? This should have been done long a time ago and gotten over with. And even though the Prime Minister signed on to the NGO's Code of Ethics and all of that, he deliberately avoided taking on their recommendations about things like what he should be doing as a caretaker Prime Minister. He definitely should not be doing some of the things that he's doing that are going to hamstring any new incoming government, right? And so I think it shows that he's not committed to democracy. He's not committed to good governance. He's just committed to trying to gain advantage and maintain himself in power. All those are reasons for him to be kicked out of office. Okay, now.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. It is 1:27, and we are going to begin wrapping up the program for today. Again, let me say thank you so much for your contribution. Thank you for your calls. Those of you who were listening via the internet, thank you so much for your contribution. For those of you who joined late in the early part of the program, the callers commented and we spoke about where the Prime Minister alleged that Brantley sought to undermine him since 2015, basically confirming rumors that Team Unity faced challenges from the onset since 2015. And in the second hour, the Prime Minister announcing that the election date will be called at the right time. As I said earlier, today is the 9th day of July, basically a month away from the constitutional deadline, so we know very soon we will hear the announcement for the election as well as nomination day. The people will head to the polls and they will decide who will run this country. The most interesting part of all of this is the conversation of whether a single political party can get 6 seats if they can get the majority. I am not saying that it is impossible, but I think it's going to be difficult for any one party to get 6 seats, to get the majority by themselves. So I think it is safe to say that the people can expect a coalition government again, whether it is 2 parties or 3 parties, but the people can expect or may expect, I don't know, a coalition government again. I could be wrong. This is just my take on it. Maybe we may have a party in St. Kitts get 6 seats, or we end back up with a coalition. Guys, we're out of time. I've been your host for today, Devon Cornelius. It was a pleasure, as usual, interacting with you, the good listeners of WINN FM 98.9, right here on Inside the News. Thank you so much for joining the program. And of course, stay tuned into WINN FM 98.9 as we have coming up at 3, The Backyard Show with Lucas H.E. and DJ Jed. And of course, at 6 p.m., we have the Daily Sports and Newscast. Stick and stay. This is WINN FM 98.9. You guys take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Found the sound 98.9
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from.